New York State's governorship. And, I haven't polled it yet. In fact, I'm about to. Maybe we could defeat Chuck Schumer. Yeah, thanks for calling, Rob. Let's go to Nick in New Jersey. Hi, Nick.
Hey, Dick. We give unemployment benefits for inflation and deflation. Yet my family is dealing with these estimates that are treated as property with no ability to novate a contract in the New Jersey Consumer Fraud Act. I mean, it's just as oxymoronic.
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Yeah, just some laws are just so oxymoronic.
Okay.
Just like Article 1.8 with, camp, tuition, medical, unemployment benefits that are tax-free, or just bond tax in general, not uniform.
Oxymoronic, I get. Good Democrat. Thank you. Let's go to Richie in the Bronx.
Richie in the Bronx.
Good afternoon, Mr. Morris.
Hi.
I assert that the Second Amendment envisions arms with military usefulness. Firstly, the generally agreed to purpose of the Second Amendment is to ensure that the people can resist a foreign invasion or tyrannical domestic government. Either event would involve confronting military forces. Therefore, arms with military usefulness must be envisioned. Secondly, the actual text of the Second Amendment mentions specifically or alludes to only one activity, and that activity is military in nature.
Military.
It's not meant.
Yeah.
Yep.
Richie, I like your question. Let me comment on it. First of all, I think the main purpose of the Second Amendment is personal protection. I think that the government has failed completely in protecting us. And in many states and jurisdictions, it doesn't even try. Manhattan is one of them. Yep. San Francisco used to be. They voted the idiot out of office. Los Angeles, I hope he's next. Philadelphia, I hope he's next. But with the government not protecting you and defunding the police that could and straitjacketing them by making them liable for their actions and all kinds of stuff like that, I think people should have the right to defend themselves. That's first. Secondly, a moment on history. There was a romantic fantasy at the time the Constitution was adopted, before that, during the Revolution, that militia would be enough to win the Revolution. We didn't need a standing army like they had all over Europe, like could topple the government like they did in Rome and in the ancient times and do away with the Senate and do away with democracy. We weren't going to have a standing army. We weren't going to have a professional army. We were going to have Minutemen. They'd drop their plow, they'd take up their gun, and they'd go and fight. And the reality of the revolution is the militia was basically useless. At the beginning of the militia, when you had a siege situation in Boston, militia was helpful in basically standing in line, not retreating and firing till they see the whites of their eyes at Bunker Hill. But in the South, militia was just swept aside, and only trained professional soldiers worked. So I do not believe, and in the United States now, I think that we have a professional army, and I trust it. But I see the Second Amendment much, much more as about personal protection. And I believe that it takes away from Congress the right to decide what kind of armament you have. Although obviously certain types of armament, like machine guns and howitzers and stuff, can't be spread among the general public. Let's go to Jerry in Jersey. Hey.
Yes, Dick, thanks for taking my call. You know, that moron in the White House came on TV, I forget how long ago it was, and he seriously said that we only have 10 years left, or the climate will do something. I don't know what it's going to do. Yeah. So when we look at this guy and we see him do all these imbecilic things, the reason is because there's a foundation there. He believes this junk science. Yeah. And we have to start talking about this science is not real science. These are climate computer models.
Yeah.
They are not real science.
You're
There's
right.
nobody on the face of the earth that knows what the climate is going to do. Nobody.
You're right, Jerry. We're running out of time, so I cut you off so I can answer what you're saying. Very good points.
Yes.
First of all, the climate monitoring system in the world is not great. We really can't tell what's actually happening throughout the world. Secondly, when you look at the predictions that were made, very reputable people said it would no longer snow in Britain. That's news to the British. They said that that drinking water in the United States was a thing of the past. We wouldn't be able to drink our water. They said that snow would be a novelty. Just all kinds of stuff that was supposed to happen 10 years ago and 20 years ago. The third point I want to make is that when you confront something like this, build dams, build dikes. Venice is underwater and has been for over 100 years. It's kept habitable by dikes that are built out at sea. A third of Netherlands is underwater. It's inhabited because there are dikes. Take mitigation measures like dikes, move people away from the coastline. There is going to be a rising sea level. It's not going to be catastrophic, and prudent measures can prevent it from being really serious. Glad you asked me so that I could answer that. Okay, so the January 6th committee is as a result of what goes around comes around. If you shut off legitimate avenues of protest, what the hell do you expect? Thank you, and I hope you have a really nice
it's an honor.
weekend.